Greetings. This is Doc Ock coming to you live and direct from Black Facts Headquarters Central on a Friday. That's right. It's Friday, and you might as well say it's my day. All right, salam alaikum, brother Elam. I see you out there. How you doing today? Yeah, glad to see y'all tuning in. We're continuing on with the autobiography of Minister Malcolm X. As you already know, if you've been tuning in, then you're well aware of what we've been doing this week. And so we're going to continue on with the getting on. Let's go ahead and do our little short, brief intro. Make sure, if you haven't already, give us a like. And after you've done that, go ahead and give us a thumbs up if you're watching on YouTube, as well as spread the word. Spread the word. We're getting a lot of requests in for to become members, and we're getting a lot of friend requests as well. So all of that's good. Keep it up. Okay, the more the merrier. We do want to spread the word as far and as wide as possible. We're casting a wide net out here. And what we're looking to do is we're not looking to capture anybody per se, but what we are looking to do is to be able to fend off the those who would like to assail black people by saying that we have no history, or that we have no history worth telling, or in fact just go ahead and reinterpret the history that we actually do have. And there's a lot of that going on, and we are on the forefront. We're on the front line of the defense, okay, defending black folks from these vicious attacks that continue to be levied in the schools, in the libraries, on Amazon, Facebook, Twitter, Snapchat, Instagram, etc. We continue to be assailed by these forces arrayed against us that would like to keep us locked down in some kind of revisionist type atmosphere, and we're not going for it. So that's what we're going to talk about today, actually. And Malcolm really goes off into it. So let's go ahead and get on with the getting on. I'm going to go ahead and read our proverb of the day. Let's see what is our proverb of the day. Proverb of the day is, let me see. All right, here you go. For all you married folks out there, proverb for the day is, marriage is not a fast knot, but a slip knot. Now, think about that one. Okay? Marriage is not a fast knot, but a slip knot. Now, just what is a slip knot? Now, y'all gonna have to go and look that up. What is a slip knot? If you don't know, you should know. And that is a proverb from Madagascar, the big island off the east coast of Africa. Now, for our story. Continuing on with the autobiography of Malcolm X as told to Alex Haley back in the day. So Malcolm is he's in school. He's in high school now, and he's in Lansing, Michigan, or just outside of Lansing, in a place called Mason. Nobody in Mason would have dreamed of getting on the wrong side of Mrs. Swirling. It became hard for me to get through a school day, though, without someone after me to join this or head up that, the debating society, the junior high basketball team, or some other extracurricular activity. I never turned them down. Always wanted to accept the challenge. That's Malcolm. And I hadn't been in the school long when Mrs. Swirling, knowing I could use some spending money of my own, got me a job after school, washing the dishes in a local restaurant. My boss there was the father of a white classmate whom I spent a lot of time with. His family lived over the restaurant. It was fine working there. Every Friday night when I got paid, I'd feel at least 10 feet tall. I forget how much I made, but it seemed like a lot. It was the first time I'd ever had any money to speak of, all my own. Now, see, that's important for a young man to have some little spending cash in his pocket. That's all his own. In his whole life, he had never had anything like that. As soon as he could afford it, he bought a green suit, some shoes. And at school, I'd buy treats for the others in my class, at least as much as any of them did for me. English and history were the subjects I liked the most. My English teacher, I recall, a Mr. Ostrowski, was always giving advice about how to become something in life. The one thing I didn't like about history class was that the teacher, Mr. Williams, was a great one for nigger jokes. Now, you know when you the only nigger in the room and the teacher wants to tell a nigger joke, there's nothing you can do short of either hiding under your desk or getting up and walking out of the room. Okay? Because that joke is directed at you. One day, during my first week at school, I walked into the room and he started singing to the class as a joke. Way down yonder in the cotton field, some folks say that a nigger won't steal. Very funny. I liked history, but I never thereafter had much liking for Mr. Williams. Later, I remember we came to the textbook section on Negro history. It was exactly one paragraph long. Mr. Williams laughed through it practically in a single breath, reading aloud how the Negroes had been slaves and then were freed, and how they were usually lazy, dumb, and shiftless. And if you don't believe me, just ask George over here. He added, I remember an anthropological footnote on his own, telling us between laughs how Negroes' feet were so big that when they walk, they don't leave tracks. They leave a hole in the ground. I'm sorry to say that the subject I most disliked was mathematics. I've thought about it. I think the reason was that mathematics leaves no room for argument. If you made a mistake, that was all there was to it. Basketball was a big thing in my life, though. I was on the team. We traveled to neighboring towns such as Howell and Charlotte. And wherever I showed my face, the audiences in the gymnasiums niggered and cooned me to death, or called me Rastas. It didn't bother my teammates or my coach at all. And to tell the truth, it bothered me only vaguely. Mine was the same psychology that makes Negroes even today, though it bothers them down inside, keep letting the white man tell them how much progress they are making. They've heard it so much, they've almost gotten brainwashed into believing it, or at least accepting it. After the basketball games, there would usually be a school dance. Whenever our team walked into another school's gym for the dance with me among them, I could feel the freeze. It would start to ease as they saw that I didn't try to mix, but stuck close to someone on our team or kept to myself. I think I developed ways to do without making it obvious. Even at our own school, I could sense it almost as a physical barrier that despite all the beaming and smiling, the mascot wasn't supposed to dance with any of the white girls. It was some kind of psychic message, not just from them, but also from within myself. I'm proud to be able to say that much for myself at least. I would just stand around and smile and talk and drink punch and eat sandwiches. And then I would make some excuse and get away early. They were typical small town dances. Sometimes a little white band from Lansing would be brought in to play, but most often the music was a phonograph set up on a table with the volume turned up high and the record scratchy, blaring things like Glenn Miller's Moonlight Serenade. His band was riding high then. Or the Ink Spots. Do I need to describe them any further? Who were also very popular, singing If I Didn't Care, stuff like that. I used to spend a lot of time thinking about a peculiar thing. Many of these Mason white boys, like the ones at the Lansing School, especially if they knew me well, and if we hung out a lot together, would get me off in a corner somewhere and push me to proposition certain white girls. Sometimes their own sisters. Yeah, no doubt. They would tell me that they'd already had the girls themselves, including their sisters, or that they were trying to and couldn't. Later on, I came to understand what was going on. If they could get the white girls into the position of having broken the terrible taboo by slipping off with me somewhere, they'd have that hammer over the girls' heads to make them give in to them. It seemed that the white boys felt that I, being a Negro, just naturally knew more about romance or sex than they did. That I instinctively knew more about what to do and say with their own girls. And some of them went for me too. They let me know in many ways. But anytime we found ourselves in any close conversations or potentially intimate situations, always there would come up between us some kind of a wall. The girls I really wanted to have were a couple of Negro girls whom Wilford or Filbert had introduced me to in Lansing. But with these girls, somehow I lacked the nerve. From what I heard and saw on the Saturday nights I spent hanging around in the Negro district, I knew that race mixing went on in Lansing. But strangely enough, this didn't have any kind of effect on me. Every Negro in Lansing, I guess, knew how white men would drive along certain streets in the black neighborhoods and pick up Negro streetwalkers who patrolled the area. And on the other hand, there was a bridge that separated the Negro and Polish neighborhoods where white women would drive or walk across and pick up Negro men who would hang around in certain places close to the bridge waiting for them. Lansing's white women, even in those days, were famous for chasing Negro men. I mean, famous. Or was that infamous? Whichever. I didn't yet appreciate how most whites accord to the Negro this reputation for prodigious sexual prowess. There in Lansing, I never heard of any trouble about this mixing from either side. I imagine that everyone simply took it for granted, as I did. Anyway, from my experience as a little boy at the Lansing School, I had become fairly adept at avoiding the white girl issue, at least for a couple of years yet. Then, in the second semester of the seventh grade, I was elected class president. It surprised me even more than other people, but I can see now why the class might have done it. My grades were among the highest in the school. Excuse me. Yeah, the highest in the school. I was unique in my class, like a pink poodle. And I was proud. I'm not going to say I wasn't. In fact, by then, I didn't really have much feeling about being a Negro because I was trying so hard in every way I could to be white. Period. Which is why I'm spending much of my life today telling the American black man that he's wasting his time straining to integrate. I know from personal experience, I tried hard enough. Malcolm, we're just so proud of you, Mrs. Swirling exclaimed when she heard about my election. It was all over the restaurant where I worked. Even the state man, Maynard Allen, who still dropped by to see me once in a while, had a word of praise. He said he never saw anybody prove better exactly what reform meant. I really liked him, except for one thing. He now and then would drop something that hinted my mother had let us down somehow. Okay, and we're going to end right about there. Okay, that his mother had let him down some kind of way. Let them down, the whole family, all the children. So, yeah. All right. Well, as you already know, if you've been paying attention at all, we've got a couple of stories that we're reading this month, and they are somewhat related. We have been reading the story about, let me do this. We have been reading a story about the Montgomery bus boycott, Martin Luther King and the Montgomery bus boycott. We've been reading that story in the evenings, and we're going to continue reading that story some more tonight. So if you tune in tonight at 9 o'clock, you'll be able to hear part 2 of Martin Luther King and the Montgomery story. Now, this piece is definitely a propaganda piece. Okay, I will definitely say that in case you're wondering. It's a propaganda piece. This was something that was put out by an organization called the the Foundation of Reconciliation or something like that. Forum of Reconciliation. I know it's FOR is the acronym. And so they put out this comic back in the day to encourage people to not only get involved, but to inform them of what was going to be expected of them when they got involved, to be totally nonviolent no matter what happened. So we're going to finish up that story tonight, and then not this weekend, but see, is it this weekend? Yeah. And then on Saturday and Sunday, we'll start getting off into another book, totally different book, which is on the Black Panther Party. Okay? The Black Panther Party graphic novel. So we're going to get into that. And that'll kind of continue talking about the civil rights movement, but it'll also go into the it will transition into the next phase after that so-called civil rights movement, or after the era of Martin Luther King, because his era definitely came to an end and a new era started. And so we'll get into that. So it's going to be, we're going to have some very interesting reading to do over the weekend. Meanwhile, what I need all of y'all out there to do right now, if you haven't done it already, go ahead and give us a like if you're looking on Facebook. If you're not, if you're on YouTube, go ahead and give us a thumbs up if you don't mind. And then spread the word to your friends and your family. We're getting lots of requests for membership in the Center of Pan-African Culture, and we're getting a lot of friend requests. We appreciate that. That's all great. One more thing that you could do that would be very helpful. We are asking for donations. We are a nonprofit organization. We've been doing this for free, unpaid, unsolicited for the past year. Why are we doing it? Because we're passionate about Black history, and we want to make sure that the youth and the adults are able to be exposed to Black history from a Black perspective that you're never going to get in the schools, because they're all tied up dealing with the rules, regulations, etc., etc., etc. They got a lot of things tying them down. And as a matter of fact, just by the way, it's an actual fact. If you investigate your own school system in your neighborhood, you're very likely to find that the original curriculum designed for your schools back in the 1920s, 1930s, etc., was designed by people who were members, card-carrying members of the KKK, straight up. Because think about it, all those schools that we're going to now, the original curriculum was developed when the schools were not all Black, but when they were all white. But they never did change up on the basic idea or the basic premise of the curriculum. The parameters had already been locked in. So think about that when you think about sending your child to any of the public schools in America. This is true whether you're in the North, the South, the East, or the West. Just check it out for yourself. Don't believe me. Maybe I'm lying. But if I'm lying, I'm flying, and crows don't grow this big. And with that said, this is Doc Ock signing off for now. I'll be Black tonight at 9. Look for me then, and everything's going to be fine in the meantime. Peace out, y'all. And I'm going to wave over here, Elam, as I go into my transition music.